Series one
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. Now we have to switch gears a little bit more. We have one more topic we need to get to before we close out this show. And Brett, you have another little bit of data that you went in. You went through some positions, and you related the value of players' moments, and correlated it to their fantasy production. So we want to talk about what you found. Which moments are overvalued and undervalued based on fantasy production. So what did you find?
We all love fantasy, and it's right around the corner. So I think their fantasy production is going to tie a lot into the value of the moment, just
Mm-hmm.
because they're more relevant, they're playing well, people want their moment, and also we're going to have weekly challenges tied to game action. So
Yeah.
I thought it would be cool just to look at I'll stick with commons for now, but just to look and see what moments we may think are undervalued, overvalued, and really I kind of hone in on players that have just one common because that gives a little extra juice to that moment because if it is needed in a challenge, that thing's gonna pop, right?
Yep.
And so, for example, if we look at running backs, um, the most expensive running back common is Derrick Henry. It's his only moment, and it's a debut, but it is 35 bucks. Um, I mean, that's not bad. It is the most expensive moment for a reason. But if you look at Austin Eckler, for example, who's actually rated more highly in fantasy, he has only one common. It's not a debut, which is why it's not as expensive, but it's only 18 bucks. And so that's a moment I think every collector kind of needs in their collection because Eckler's on the Chargers and their offense is going to be amazing.
Yep.
And you also have Najee Harris. His moment's $27, and he has only one common. So that puts into perspective Eckler's moment being at 18. That's a moment I think um, the general feeling on it's a little undervalued at the
Yeah.
moment.
And all of this is not financial advice. We do not
Yeah,
condone
yeah,
you to
yeah,
don't think
right.
anything.
I forgot. I've never had to say that before. Just they're like over my
Yeah.
head or like um a moment that I personally like. I'm curious to see what you guys think of this player, Deandre Swift. I think he's going to
Okay.
have a bright future. He's really young. He has only one common, and it's a debut as well, and it's only 24 bucks. Um, that's a moment I purchased early back in the marketplace. I'm just a big fan of Swift. Do you guys think he's going to take off this year?
Go ahead, TC, as you.
I mean, he certainly has the talent to. He's from Pennsylvania, so I've been aware of him for a long time. Um, he was real good in college. He certainly has the pedigree. He was a pretty high draft pick. But I think a lot of that is going to depend on the Lions. I think the Lions are talented. They're very young. Goff is going to really decide what that offense does. And if Amon-Ra St. Brown can take a step forward and open up the passing game and give like T.J. Hawkinson some opportunity, spread that ball around. I think it's all going to depend on that offense as a whole, is what DeAndre Swift does. He certainly is capable of doing it, but it's going to depend on the Lions. But I actually am pretty bullish on the Lions. Now I'm not expecting them to go make the playoffs or something, but I think they can take a step forward where they might end up 7-9 or 8-8. Kind of really show some of that high end talent that's very young but is extremely talented. They've had some good drafts. They've had a lot of picks. So I think they're really kind of still a couple years away from really contending. But I think the pieces are there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they go after a top quarterback in the draft next year.
Agreed.
Because if they get the right young quarterback, that'll be a fun team to watch. I always
Yep.
root for the Lions. I always kind of feel bad for them.
Yep.
All right, moving on. There are four moments I wanted to point out. Um, because all the other moments I mentioned are, kind of in the 20s. But then you have Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They all have one debut or one common that is a debut, and they're all right around 10 bucks.
Yep.
So I think you can kind of pick which running back you like there, and with how cheap they are, it's not really a lot of risk, and I could see any one of those running backs, hitting a challenge.
Yeah.
I personally, I like Antonio Gibson a lot, and I'm a Chiefs fan, so I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire will show people why he was a first-round pick, even though I don't really think he should have been a first-round pick for the Chiefs, but
Yeah.
that's a different topic. So out of Sanders, Helaire, Jacobs, and Gibson, who do you like, Nate?
Well, as far as like talent goes, I'm a Josh Jacobs guy. I do think he can be the bell cow back. I'm just not sure that the Raiders are gonna give him that opportunity. His per yards per carry numbers weren't great last year. It was, you know, he wasn't as productive as I thought he would be. I drafted him high in a couple of my leagues, and it just seems like the Raiders have maybe soured on him a little bit. Um, personally own a bunch of them because I do, and I bought them all around $5 because I think he's just absurdly low priced. But I mean, he may not get into that $15 plus range unless the Raiders really commit to getting him the ball 15 to 20 times a game, which I'm not sure they are at this point. Now, a good camp could change that, but as it stands, I'm not quite sure. I think Antonio Gibson is a very good one. He's kind of suffered under that Washington offense considerably. Heineke was decent last year. I don't think Carson Wentz is a huge upgrade. But he can at least throw the ball. So if they can, if they can get McLaurin and Cam Sims and some of these other guys to really open up that passing game and get defenses to not quite cue so much on Gibson, I think he's the most likely breakout candidate. So I like that one as well. Miles Sanders needs to prove that he can stay on the field. Him and Edwards Helaire both, like they both need to show that they can stay healthy. And I think, particularly in Sanders' case, he's another one that doesn't necessarily have the full complement of touches that he should have. Like, for whatever reason, they like to spread the ball around. They use a lot of different running backs. Boston Scott saw a lot of work. Kenneth Gainwell saw a good bit of work. And Sanders was hurt a bunch too. That just, if he stays healthy, he's a threat in the run game. He's a threat in the pass game. I think he's more of a passing threat. He's kind of in that 200, 205, 210 pound range. So I don't think he's the guy that's going to be able to take 20 to 25 carries and run between the tackles and be that guy. But if they can manage him to the point where he can get 5, 6, 7 receptions and have 12 to 15 carries a game, he can be a heck of a productive back. And we saw that in his rookie year. He had a streak where, he was the Rashad Penny of the last 5 games last year where he just went off.
Yeah.
So I think all 4 of those guys have potential. So at their current price point, I think they're a solid buy, and they have far more upside than they do downside.
Yeah, and it really comes down to injuries, as you said, and that's why I've kind of avoided running back rare moments because until we really know more, I'm not really going to go all in on the running back position because, man, the injuries. And I don't want to even think about this, but, injuries are going to come, and I wonder what's going to happen to the value of these moments in the marketplace when, somebody has a devastating injury and is out for the year. So
Yeah.
we'll have to keep an eye on that, and hopefully we have an injury-free year because that always sucks.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No. Yeah. All my players are going to get injured. It's just going to work out like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have any other running backs on your list as far as overvalued, like somebody who you really think is just way too much money for what their production is? I actually have one in my mind, and I want to see if you have that any as well.
Okay. Aaron Jones, his debut is $36, and he has 2 commons. The reason that is $36 is because it's in the Move the Chain set, which is highly desired, and it is the debut. But man, $36, that's a bit more than a lot of running backs above him, and it's purely because of the set he's in.
Yeah.
So if you're completing a set, that's fine, but man, I'd be very careful, spending that much money just as like a challenge speculation type deal. I would probably go with this cheaper moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially with AJ Dillon, really looking like he is, more and more deserving, more and more earning of increased carries, increased playing time, maybe poaching some goal line opportunities. Because if I'm an offensive coordinator and I got a 250-pound battering ram who can move, I'm gonna give him the ball inside the one.
so this will be an interesting question then, because you don't know the prices. What do you think AJ Dillon's one common debut is priced at the moment?
I actually know exactly what it's priced at right
Ah,
now.
okay. Because I just mentioned the other four running backs, right?
Correct.
Gibson,
Correct.
Alaire, Sanders, Jacobs.
Yep.
AJ Dillon's is actually more than them. He's
Yep.
at like $14, and
Yep.
that's from a couple hours ago. It could have gone up or down, but it's only a couple dollars. But in the grand scheme of things, it is a bit overpriced in my opinion.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
You know, I could see a situation where if it goes into a timeshare, and a lot, I think a lot of the it's not purely the production that goes into the value there. A lot of it has to do with the team that they're playing on as well. And you get a team like the Packers, who have such a big ravenous fan base. I think just being a Packer probably inflates those prices 10 to 20%.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I don't think you can say the same thing about the Redskins fans or um, you know Chiefs fans are great fans. Y'all got a heck of a thing going at Arrowhead there. But as far as national fan appeal, it's always going to be the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Packers. Those
The
big.
Falcons.
The Falcons.
Or how could we forget? How could we forget?
Yeah, I can't forget that. So how about wide receivers, Brett? What do you got on that for wide receivers? Oh,
Well,
actually, well, before we move that,
yeah. Did I guess the right one for you?
no, actually, mine was Michael Carter.
Ah, Michael Carter. See, he didn't make the top running back list for me, so obviously I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. He gets a lot.
Whatever he's at.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
gets a lot of value for being a rookie. His three badge is
Mhm.
still pretty high. His common is
Yeah.
even in that $10 range too. And for as talented as I think he is, I don't think he's going to get the amount of touches that's really going to warrant that
Yeah.
price.
And I think the fact that Brees Hall is there and how
Yeah,
good he is hasn't really settled in yet
yeah,
in the marketplace. I think
agree.
once the fantasy drafts start and people see how high Brees Hall is going, or if he looks good in the preseason, because I mean it was a great prospect coming out of college, and he was the first running back picked, I think, in the draft.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. Michael Carter is definitely probably one I would avoid too.
All right, wide receivers.